At this time, I would like to introduce our teams for today. Starting in the floor exercise, please welcome the athletes from Simpson College. Head coach, Colin Payne. Assistant coach, Sam Shafransky. Their team captain, Alex Catchpole. Starting on the pommel horse, please welcome the gymnast from the Air Force Academy. Their head coach, Josh Lozier. Assistant coaches, Sergey Resnick and Michael Reed. Team captains for Air Force are Eric Upton and Patty Hoops. On the still rings, please welcome the gymnast from Springfield College. Head coach, Matt Davis. Assistant coaches, Dante Cicel, Cale Donnelly, and Norm Bullrise. Team captains for Springfield are Carter Chicardo and Owen Carney. On the ball, please welcome the gymnast from West Point. Their head coach, J.D. Reed. The assistant coaches, Carmine Giulio and Jake Monet. Team captains are Joseph Buzemeyer and Noah Duran. On parallel bars, please welcome the gymnast from the Naval Academy. And our head coach, Kip Simons. Assistant coaches, Craig Holt and Ryan Terrell. And our team captain, Vishal Mandava. And on the horizontal bar, please welcome the gymnast from the College of William & Mary. Their head coach, Michael Powell, and their assistant coach, Bo Morris. Team captains from William & Mary, Jonathan Irwin, Ricky Pizem, and Samuel Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our competitors in the USAG Championships for today. At this time, I ask you all, please rise as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Thank you. Coaches, gymnasts, let's prepare for the competition. Team captains, please report to the center of the mat with our head judge, Lenny Lucarello. Ladies and gentlemen, lots of activity today. All the apparatus all the time. Reminder, no flash photography and stay clear of the track for the ball.
All right, hello and welcome Tribe fans. My name is Christian Marsh and I'm joined today by my co-host Kevin Portofee to commentate the William & Mary men's gymnastics team as they rotate through the USA Gymnastics Collegiate Championships. What's up, Kevin?
What's going on, Christian? This meet is really going to be a close one. The results throughout the season have been really close amongst these teams, so I'm excited.
Oh, for sure. I mean, No one is coming into this meet undefeated. Everyone here has been defeated by someone. Let's see. Air Force has been defeated by Navy. Navy has been defeated by William & Mary, who's also been defeated by Navy, and Navy's beaten Army, and so it is all up in the air. I'm super excited, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So the tribe is starting on high bar today. There are 6 teams in the meet, and they will rotate through in Olympic order proceeding from high bar. So from there, they'll go to floor, palm horse, rings, vault, and end on parallel bars.
How are you liking the starting spot for the tribe, Christian?
I mean, I never really did high bar personally, not seriously at least. So starting on high bar didn't bug me, but I can imagine that if you are a high bar worker, it's nice to start on high bar where you're feeling a lot more warmed up. Typically, high bar comes at the end of the meet, right? Because you're starting on the floor and high bar is the last. So there are times where, imagine your only event's high bar that you compete. You get to warm up high bar and then you sit for essentially an hour or two. You get one turn to warm it up and then you got to compete again. So I bet this is a nice change of pace for the high bar squad. And and I'm sure they're ready to take advantage of that because this is a big swinging squad. We've got Luke Tully, who's capable of Kovacs, multiple Tkachev elements. Evan Sikra, who's just worked his way back from a back fracture, who's going to compete today. Also, huge Tkachev work. Sam Lee can do it all as well. Kovacs, Tkachev. Even his dismount, he'll do a full twisting double layout, double twisting double layout, triple twisting double layout. And Ricky Pism has what has to be the highest Coleman I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm sure they're all going to appreciate the chance to compete while they're nice and warm.
I'm a little biased, but I really like this lineup. These are some exciting routines.
And one of the things that will really stick out is just the cleanliness. A lot of taller athletes with nice tight body lines. So not only will it be exciting, but it'll be a visual treat.
For sure.
All right. So right now they're hopping up. They're going to take their 2-minute touch. So.
Exciting to see Sticker back in the lineup.
Oh, dude, you and me both, dude. It's crazy, actually, how little preparation time he's had that he's been able to take advantage of. I believe he did his first full set this week. So, which is truly exceptional after being out for, 6 to 8 weeks because of a back fracture. I can't imagine trying to get in shape that quickly and doing so well enough to immediately be an lineup impact.
For sure.
Part of the reason the high bar lineup is so different today as well is some people are dealing with some injuries. Mark Fu tweaked his neck a while back. He's still trying to work his way back from Jared's having some back issues as well. So, this is going to be a new lineup, and we're excited to see what they can do.
I really like having Ricky up first here. I got the joy of watching this routine in person a couple of times, and man, he is right on just about every single time I've seen him.
Ricky is such a uniquely talented athlete in that he's going to do what many people will consider the most difficult routine on lineup today, but he is just such a calm competitor, cool, level-headed, and that is part of the reason he's trusted with this leadoff spot. He is consistent, and he's just a great high bar swinger, a great person to lead off for the tribe.
You can really see that style when he competes too. He really is just calm, kind of goes through the motions, really feels the bar. Really good stuff.
It's nice. You can always tell when an athlete just has such a good feel for their routine. And it just makes watching him that much better. Huge on Milwaukee. All right, he's gonna get that bar bouncing now for those flight elements. First up, Coleman, and right Beautiful. On the bar. Huge, Beautiful. Dude. So just the Coleman for today. He's capable of doing another Kovacs release or even a Casina he's been training this week. If he makes high bar finals, expect to see it tomorrow. Shoulder right into that one arm. Gorgeous. Nice flying giant, packing in those Bs just to build up the difficulty a little bit, looking for that landing. And
Really
a small
nice stuff.
step backwards.
Really
As
nice
we
stuff.
said, difficult routine, done very well. That's why Ricky's lead off. Great set from the junior captain.
Something that I noticed watching Ricky there, the one-arm giants that he does really look nice. And I know like certain taller athletes really get to show it off. They have that big length from the bar. But man, that looks so good.
Yeah, Ricky's, just like a little bit of a freak of nature in that he is incredibly comfortable on those one arms. Most people are a little nervous as they go through the bottom on a one arm, and Ricky does not appear to be one of them. When he warms up, he will warm up one arm giants on both arms. He Zuli Mins off one arm, and I've seen him Zuli Min off the other arm. And so for those of you wondering what a Zuli Min is, that's a full twisting pirouette on one arm as you swing through the bottom. Incredible torque pulling on your body, trying to rip you off the bar. Most people struggle to do it with one hand, if they do it at all, and Ricky is able to do it with both his dominant and non-dominant hands. So that's part of why his one-arm work looks so tight. It's just because he's extraordinarily comfortable with those elements.
Yeah, the forearm strength required to hold on through the bottom, especially when you're a larger athlete, really incredible.
Come on, Secret, let's go! Let's go, Secret, you know how! Come on, Secret, this is your event! Confidence, Secret! Let's go, Secret! Come on! Come on, Big Shaq! Come on, Big Shaq!
All right, and so you'll notice the judging might look a little different than it typically does in our head-to-head meets. So in a head-to-head meet, there will typically be four judges on one event. You'll have 2 judges doing difficulty and 2 judges doing execution. And the way it should work a little faster is that each team is assigned their own D judge, because for your difficulty value, that's objective, right? So no matter who judges you, it will and should be the same. So each team gets their own D score judge, and the E score judges just take deductions, right? So as soon as they're done taking those deductions, they hand them to the judge who did the who's calculating the difficulty value, and while they do the math, the other D judge salutes the opposing team, and they continue from there. So you're able to judge and compete simultaneously, and it has just a little bit better flow than you might see in some of these bigger meets where, the number of judges is limited. So we have just 2 judges, and they're both doing difficulty and execution. But as of now, it is time for Evan Secra.
Let's go, Secret!
Evan's got a nice combination of in-bar elements that I'm hoping to see today. He's really flexible in those shoulders, but he'll show us those after he does some release moves. Gorgeous
really nice
layout.
Gotcha.
So you'll notice Evan has no pike in his hips as he comes over the top of the bar. In fact, he's almost in a tight arch. That is not very common. It's very difficult to do that so well. And he just gets exceptional turnover and elevation from the bar, which allows him to do so. Here are those in-bar elements I was talking about. Popping that jam right up to handstand. The further you off from a handstand, the bigger the deductions the judge can take, but not on Evan. That was very nice.
Not done! Let's go, Secret!
Gearing up for his dismount here.
Yeah!
Come on!
Wow. Wow.
Secret!
What a
That man
comeback
just got
Ricky
his
right
back.
there.
Yeah, he just got his back this weekend. I mean, incredible first set back from Evan. Phenomenal. I know that feels good.
Let's go, baby!
Yeah, that's got to be a great feeling. You can see it on his face there as he turns towards the camera. What a relief to be back in the lineup competing again and to crush it just like that. That's good.
Oh, and we see Ricky scores in first on a high bar for the Tribe at a 13.0 from a 14.1. That's a really good score. I mean, breaking 13 on a high bar is very difficult, and so is getting just about a 9.0 E-score, and Ricky managed to do both in one go with a 8.9 E-score out of 10, so getting just 1.1 off and then a 13.0 score. Very nice.
Now, Christian, you mentioned how straight Evan is over the bar on his straight to Tkachev, and what is really amazing about that is when you throw that hard to go that high in the air, you don't get to see the bar until the last second. So you're really putting it on the line to go that big, and he does it every time.
Really, I did not know that. I guess that makes sense that you're losing visual sight of the bar there and just trusting that you've got the height to make up for it.
Mm-hmm. And, when you're throwing really hard, to try and pop it straight up, you're also running the risk of throwing it too far back, past the bar, and missing your fingers and landing right on the mat. But really, to have that nice of a straight to Tkachev, it's not an easy task.
Wow. Yeah, that was lovely. He actually has to raise it up one, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can hear the guys in the background, Zachary Patrick, talking about how lovely that set was. I couldn't have said it better myself.
For sure.
Dude, beach half is such a good-looking skill when you do it well. I worked on the song for 3 in a row. Wow. Let's go, Lee. Come on. Come on, Sammy Lee.
All right. Evan Seeker scores in at 12.7. Yeah, about 1.3 off. That's great for a first set back. I mean, just imagine how much cleaner he can get it by the end of the season if the Tribe gets their bid to NCAAs and he makes lineup once more. Now we got grad student, 5th year, Sam Lee. I believe this is his first appearance on high bar this year. Also doing that Zuliaman, the full twist on one arm like Ricky does. Talk element. So that was a bit flat, right? You want to get that up to handstand, so he'll incur deduction for it, but he's still swinging. Picking it right back up with the nice straddle to Tkachev, the one arm. Ooh, quas. Those have become more popular as code due to relaxing on the deductions they can take. Double. And the hop forward.
Just couldn't hold on to that stick, but great routine.
He didn't want it. He gave it away. He didn't want it.
Come on, man. Flex those big toes.
Well done, Lee.
It's interesting. Historically, there has not been really any incentive to fight for stick at the elite level, right? In that, if you circle your arms, for example, you get a 1/10 deduction for circling your arms to save the stick, right? So at that point, if you're going to circle your arms or take a step, most people will just take the step, right? But in the NCAA, we have stick bonus. So if you stick your dismount on every event except for pommel horse, of course, you get a 1/10 bonus, right? So in those events where, it's either you take a step or you arm circle, at least if you fight for the stick now, you net 0. If you take the step, you just take the 1/10 deduction, So it's coming out at 0 or minus 0.1. And I really like that they've introduced that incentive to begin fighting to fight for landings a little bit, because it also works as a good counterweight to the changes that they've made for dismounts. The more difficult dismounts you do this quadrennium, the more value they receive, both as an element group and as a skill, right? So if you do a D value element, that's worth 4/10. You get 4/10 for the element group. But if you do a triple twisting double layout, like off high bar, that's a G. Right? No. F, pardon me. F. And so you get 6/10 for the skill and 6/10 for the element group, which is a huge swing over someone doing a double twisting double layout. But it's harder to stick that triple twisting double layout. So as incentive to, air quotes, play it safer and fight for that stick, now you've got this counterweight of, the 1/10 incentive to stick an easier landing. So I just think it creates a nice dichotomy. And right there, you see Sam Lee took a 1/10 on a double-double, which actually puts him at the same place as someone who stuck a lay half-half. So just interesting how the calculus works out there. And his score's in at a 12.5. And now is freshman Luke Tully, who has just been absolutely stunning on this event for the Tribe this year.
He's had a really spectacular freshman year so far, and I'm hoping he can continue it right here.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that's a handstand. Into the Russian giant, swinging through on, your shoulders turned out like that, and then in locating them. A lot of strength and flexibility. Right, had to adjust on that talk. Don't worry, he'll still get credit. Right. Luke is also one to change his routine mid-set, right? So he goes for both the Kochevs. He's also capable of a Kovacs. And he
There's that
sticks
stick we're
to the
talking about.
landing. Bang, bang. That was great.
That's a good start for the Tribe right there.
Absolutely.
4 really solid routines.
Yeah, I mean, IBAR is, such an easy event to where one small mistake can take you off the entire event, disrupt momentum, create like a little bit of a hole for the team to have to dig themselves out of. And the Tribe took advantage of that opportunity and turned it into a strength. Pardon me.
And high bar is really, it's just pointed at that exact thing. You can swing really big, go for the big routine and nail it, and you're going to have a whole bunch of momentum going into the next event. Or that can really turn on you fast, and you fall, and the momentum is completely lost going to the next event. So it's absolutely huge that they did that first event, end up on a big swinging event like high bar and absolutely crushing the routines.
So as we're waiting for this final score from Luke Tully, why don't you walk us through some of the deductions that the judges will be looking for on high bar and explain how we got these scores just a little bit.
Yeah, on high bar specifically, a lot of things are needing to finish in handstand. You're trying to get as close to the handstand finish on many of the skills as you can. So any angular deviation from the handstand is going to incur more deduction the farther you get. So we saw Luke Tully's first element, the jam he did, it went to a perfect handstand. There's no deduction there. Then the following skill, he did a half talk, and he missed the handstand by a good bit, and he's going to incur 1 to 3/10 deduction just on the angle, never mind the arms. So those are the types of things you're looking for on those swing elements. And then the big high-flying releases, obviously you're looking for form in the air. You don't want bent knees, flexed toes, those sorts of things. But you want to be able to be catching the bar at the perfect distance. You don't want those arms bent. You obviously don't want to be too far away where you miss it. But also on the giant following, when you swing around the bar that next time, you want those arms to be perfectly locked. So if you're not perfect on the catch, you're going to incur the deduction on the catch, and then on the following skill, when you have to bend those arms or bend those knees to keep swinging.
That's crazy how the deductions can kind of stack on you like that.
They sure can.
All right, so I've been fortunate enough to comment a couple times for the Tribe this year, and as well as last year. So Kevin, tell us a little bit more about yourselves. Where did you come from? Where did you enter? And what events did you compete?
Well, I grew up in New England, in Norwich, Connecticut. I competed for Thames Valley Gymnastics, and I was a pretty good junior athlete. I was able to earn the opportunity to compete at William & Mary.
Tribe.
Yeah, go Tribe. I was there in a little bit of a difficult time. We had the COVID situation, the team getting cut and then reinstated. So we were in a little bit of turmoil in general while I was there, but I wouldn't change it for the world. William & Mary was a great experience in academics and athletics. I was able to All-American at the USAG Collegiate Champs 1 year that I had competed. Although I was talking to you, Christian, about this before the competition, I may have a record for the lowest score and still maintaining All-America honors. I had a pretty poor pommel horse performance that netted me a score. I think it was below a 5. It was in the 4s, which is pretty horrendous. And I lucked out in placement, and I snuck in for the All-American, but I also earned it on the floor. I do want to say that I did compete well on the floor and earned my spot there. But yeah, I graduated William & Mary in 2021. I'm now a fireman. down here in Virginia next to the school. So, yeah, I'm hoping to stick around the William & Mary area and stay involved.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Let's take a look at some of these scores. So Luke Tully's is in now at a 13.3, highest score for the Tribe. Wow. 51.6 is a great leadoff event for William & Mary on high bar, which tends to be one of the lower scoring events, so keep that in mind as things shuffle out. Floor is a higher scoring event, and so is vault. So as teams move through these events, it's a thing to keep an eye on. We got Simpson at 51.3 on floor. Pommel Horse Air Force 53.75. That's pretty good. It can be really tough. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, it's pretty tough to break 50 on Pommel Horse generally, but they have their absolute star national team member, international cup medalist Patrick Hoops putting up a 15.15. Incredible. I believe there have been there have only been like 4 15s scored in the NCAA on this year past the code change, and I believe 2 of them at least have come from Mr. Patrick Hoops, so that is phenomenal. Moving on to rings, Springfield had a good rings rotation with a 52.55. Wow, look at that, 13.65 from Blaze. That's incredible.
Really
Vault, 53.95 for Army and Navy, who many are expecting to win today. Parallel bars lead off with a 53.4. It's a very strong squad.
Now, Christian, I'm looking at the Road to Nationals results. I think that's the highest high bar score for William & Mary this season.
Oh, fantastic. And with the new squad, wow, with some guys out, I mean, that just shows how much depth William & Mary has on high bar. And not only that there's depth, but that the athletes showed up and did their jobs. I mean, everyone's pushing everyone. Iron sharpens iron. And not a bad day to have a good day.
For sure. I think I'm getting spoiled this competition, Christian. I'm getting to start with high bar and floor. Those were my favorites coming through college. I know that you had different thoughts on that, but
yeah, I was not the biggest floor high bar guy. I did compete floor for the team for about a season or 2. High bar as well. High bar was more of an, in case of emergency break glass kind of situation. I was able to hold my own on floor on occasion. But I'm excited to see what these guys can do because they are all much better tumblers than I was. They are more on par with you. You're going to see lots of double fronts today, which Kevin was exceptional at. Lots of twisting, some connections, big flipping, big skills.
I'm just hoping for a lot of sticks, Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing better.
This song's familiar.
It is.
Springfield on the ball. Army on the parallel bars. Navy on the high bar.
Sorry, to elaborate on that inside comment, I believe one of the William & Mary promos is actually set to this song. The 2020, 2021. One of those, 2020 or 2021. I know Jordan Cool was involved, and he did a very good job. Regardless of which year it was, so.
I do remember him putting a lot of effort into making sure the promo was good for us.
All right. So it looks like we got Nico competing here. Double full side down the diagonal. Getting the stick on that as we were talking about. Transition here into the scale. Yeah. Gearing up for the dismount here. Double tuck. And he keeps on his feet. I can't tell if he kept it in bounds. It looks like he might have gotten a little close on that far line from us. If he had 1 foot slide out, that'll be a 10th. If it didn't look like it was both. If somehow it was both, that'd be 3/10. But going out of bounds is not the not the worst thing in the world.
Say, if anything, going out of bounds just kind of ruins your flow as an athlete. You know, you don't normally end up out of bounds when you're competing on the floor.
Yeah, and it's also where you want to stay, not only because deduction, but the floor gets substantially less bouncy outside of the lines, and it is less forgiving of any tumbling passes that you may land there.
Growing up, when I would tumble out of bounds, my coach would always ask me if I needed a coloring book.
To stay
So
inside the lines?
I needed to stay inside the lines.
Oh, that's great. That's really funny. One thing I'll say about Meets at Navy, I do thoroughly enjoy the music. They do a good job picking the playlists.
That's something that can really change a meet for a team. Just having music that you enjoy while you're competing can really change the vibe of the team.
Yeah, there's one team Kevin and I competed against frequently while we competed together, because we entered same year, for those listening, who liked to, one of their coaches liked reggae, so they very often practiced and competed to reggae. So that was fine for me. I am actually half Jamaican, but not everybody's cup of tea. All right, Nico scores in at 13-1-5. That is great. That's a really good start for the Tribe. All right, now we got sophomore Connor Barrow, hoping to continue that momentum. He does a connection pass first. Lay punch, double full. Hop to the side.
It looked really nice in the air.
He'll receive 1 10th connection bonus for that. And another connection bonus 10th for that pass, where he does the back whip to the 2.5. Double full, making sure to get those sticks.
I just thought about those little side passes as kind of resets. You do those difficult tumbles down the corner, and being able to do a simpler one down the side, make sure you get a strong stick, can really help you reset and start narrowing in on those landings.
You have to catch your breath a little bit too.
Good finish on the double tuck. Fortunate triple full. Otherwise, it really was a solid routine.
What do you think the deductions will look like then on that triple full, Kevin?
It's a little bit hard to tell. It looked to me like he put full weight on his hands. So that's going to be a full point deduction for the fall. And obviously under-rotated the skill. Didn't have enough amplitude for the landing. Those are definitely going to add up on him.
It's just so brutal how they can really just pile on those deductions.
Yeah. It was good to see him get back up and nail that double tuck to finish. You see a lot of athletes, they'll fall in the routine, and by the end of the set, they're out of motivation, and they just keep falling and falling. So for him to get back up and finish strong is a testament to him.
Yeah, I mean, floor is also unique in that it is the only event where if you fall, you do not get a 30-second reset, right? You have some sort of big error. You just have to keep going, because not only do you not get a break, there's an active time limit working against you.
and even with the reintroduction of the mandatory scale, it's not a lot of time to breathe and reset.
I can only imagine the energy in the arena right now. I mean, if you see Navy in the bottom corner, they are all going crazy. So whoever just competed on high bar probably knocked it out of the park.
From my screen, it looks like Boone Washburn was competing. And Boone Washburn once was at my home gym back in Connecticut.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
Yeah. Him and his brother Jax competing at Illinois now. I would say that they're both better than I was. But yeah, I knew him well. You got Luke Tully.
Right.
I started
Also
out with a
does
nice
that
double
pass.
front.
Ooh, whip 2.5. He gets the deep stick on, but a stick nonetheless. Following it with a double full side pass. So these are also spots where the athletes can catch their breath. I know it doesn't look like a break, but when you condition as hard as they do, a simple press handstand being upside down like that is a chance to breathe for just a second. Right. So that's a double full punch. Front tuck is what they'll credit it. With the step backwards, it was intended to be a layout, which would have received 1/10 more for this skill. Tuck versus layout, and then for the connection, he loses both of those. But other than that, the only deduction he incurs is the step backwards. So it's nothing like a fall, even though it was not the pass he intended, and he finished strong with the double tuck, right? So yeah, Connor Barrow scores in it at 12-5, as we mentioned. Floor is a little bit of a higher scoring event, and he was very clean in the air. So despite the setback on his triple full, that is not a major setback to have a 12-5 on floor. And similarly, although Luke struggled a little bit with that one pass, I do think that he will still be able to come out pretty well on the score end.
Yeah. I mean, to really have the awareness to, you're flying through the air and you realize that you're not quite exact when you're about to hit the floor again, and to be able to change which element you're doing and have it end up successful it's a difficult thing on its own. So, I mean, credit for him to making the right change and making sure that he ended up on his feet.
It is, yeah. I mean, having that air awareness and that reaction time to do something about it, it's very impressive. Some athletes are like that. Sometimes when I talk to freshman Connor Barrow, who we just saw tumble, he'll tell me that he can decide how many twists he's doing on vault after he's hit the table. I cannot imagine.
Insane.
That is, a fraction of a second that he's able to determine whether or not he'll be successful, and he does it very well. And as we saw, Luke Tully's score is in at a 13.05. So as we said, despite the slight setback, still very good. I mean, he is super sharp in the air. Great line on how the floor juggernaut. Even
beautiful stuff.
It's ridiculous. Woof.
That was very nice too.
Yeah, F pass, very difficult. We haven't seen anyone do any F skills yet, let alone F passes. Getting his non-acro out of the way.
You gotta say, on that F element, he also looked so nonchalant in the air. He just looked like he was hanging out up there.
Oh, if you ask him, he'll say he was. I once asked him about it because it looks like it's very difficult, and he looked at me dead in my eyes and said, "Bro, that skill is so easy. I'm not gonna lie to you." I might disagree with the sentiment, but I respect it nonetheless.
I mean, if you got that kind of power and you're up that high, I guess so.
It look good too. Full twist and double tuck for dismount, and right up.
Really good work.
Job, Evan. Oh, yeah. We love to see it.
That's some good floor work there.
This is good. We're averaging about a 13 right now between the first event to this one, and I would be shocked if Evan Wilkins, who has the most difficult floor squad on the, on the team, floor set on the squad, didn't also break 13.
For sure. I would be very surprised. Looking on Road to Nationals there, Christian, and Boone Washburn went 13-7 on high bar.
Oh, yeah, I would also freak out about that. Shout out
Yeah.
Navy. That was it.
Yeah, from a 14-4 start.
Whoa.
So, yeah, only 7/10 off of the whole routine. So it must have been a great routine.
That's incredible. And just to put in perspective how good Evan Wilkins is on the floor, if I am not mistaken, he is he is tied for first in the conference on floor. So, with Jackson Clapper on Greenville and Eric Upton on Air Force. So Evan Wilkins could very well win the meet today, win the meet tomorrow, because event finals is tomorrow, and that 13-9 goes to the show.
Yeah, really good stuff. I mean, to be able to do that difficult of a routine and only have 1 point in deduction, really, really good.
Yeah, so when he looks at you and tells you that it's easy, it's not easy, but it is for him, because he is something else.
You know, that the first tumbling pass that he did in that routine, he did a front full to a double front. I think I landed a handful of those throughout my career, and I was pumped to be on my feet. And he looked like he was just, another day in the gym.
If you look closely, he kicked out into it. I mean, he struggled with it for a bit at the beginning of season, but he's getting to the point where he is not, like, he's fully expecting to land it.
And that's where you want to be.
Yeah, not just land it, but stick it.
That was probably a big thing in my gymnastics. When I had a routine down, it was when I only worried about the landings. If I had the routine that locked in, where the only thing I had to think about was how well can I stick it, that was a good day.
$13.9. Wow, that is huge. Evan Wilkins is really working towards being one of the best floor workers in the nation this year. I mean, he is staring down the barrel of a not only USA Gymnastics All-American with a score like that, but an NCAA All-American.
For sure. And I mean, if those tumbling passes are as easy as he says, I'm sure he's got more in the pipeline in terms of difficulty.
Yeah, and just to differentiate a little bit, we mentioned, USA Gymnastics Collegiate All-American versus NCAA All-American. So today, the meet, which we casually and lovingly refer to as USAGs, is a meet for teams with less than 2 scholarships, I believe, like less than 2 full scholarships, and the military academies, of course. Right, and so this is a national championship for those teams. All teams there today operate with substantially less funding than some of their peers in around the country. Right, and so this is their national championship, and of course the bigger national championship, NCAA's, will be later in April.
I just want to make sure that was clear for our viewers. All of these teams can qualify to the true NCAA championships as well. They're not mutually exclusive in the fact that if you're at USAGs, you can't go to the NCAA championships. You can most definitely be at both.
Exactly. And not only can you be at both, all of the teams here today are actively trying to be at both. Right? We take the top 12 teams. There are 15 total. And as of right now, I believe Greenville is right on the edge, right? At a 4-score average of a 309.55, right? With Army less than 2/10 behind, right? And today's score counts. They are trying to outcompete each other for that 12th spot to championships, because at conference, whatever you score at conference is your highest score from the season, and that is what they take. So this is their real last shot to get that final boost to qualify to NCs.
I'm sure the Greenville is watching this meet pretty closely.
Absolutely. While not being here, they do get the benefit of having a week off before conference. So We'll see how the rest benefits them, as they were, I mean, neck and neck with Navy 2 weeks ago. So it's gonna be an exciting conference meet.
Always exciting. We have so many teams that are this close. You know, they could all take it.
And this year, there's actually the auto bid as well. So historically, there was an automatic bid to NCAA championships if your conference was big enough. And after some issues of sports sponsorship, the ECAC actually dropped below the number of teams required for an automatic bid, right? But now that the ECAC has been blessed with the addition of Simpson and Greenville, the ECAC is the biggest conference in men's gymnastics, and big enough to once again have that automatic bid to championships. So we're talking about how, Army's trying to get Greenville today, right? But say that they don't. If Army pulls it out of the bag and they win conference, they automatically get to qualify, right? And everyone else gets a slot, right? So as Greenville is in that 12th position, if Army wins conference, Greenville gets knocked out, Army goes in. So even if they don't surpass them today.
I really like that rule, Christian, because teams over the course of the season can really, truly get better. They get better at their gymnastics, their routines get more polished. So when we get to conference, you're seeing really the best version of these teams. So I think, to win conference obviously is an accomplishment, but I think it proves that you deserve to move on.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I also just like that it gives postseason some more weight to it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Makes it, because obviously you want to do well all season, but if you manage to have this huge turnaround at the end of the season, I want to see that rewarded with the opportunity to make some magic happen.
Absolutely.
All right, we're gonna check back in on the scores here. So right now we've got Mary put up a 53.650 on. Pardon me. What am I looking at? I'm looking at Navy's high bar. Sorry, they put up a 52.6 on floor, which is also very good. And worth noting, now that I accidentally read that out loud, my brain was looking for just about the highest score on the board because it was floor, and I snapped high bar because Navy put up a massive 53.650, 4 scores above a 13. I mean, what?
Really good stuff.
Yeah. So if you are curious about the overall ranking of the teams, we have got Navy in first with a 107.5, Air Force in second with a 106.55, and rounding out third, barely, is Springfield with a 105.5, Army half a tenth behind them at a 105.45, William & Mary behind them at a 104.2, and Simpson is running it out with a 98.15, right? But so you got to keep an eye on which teams have moved through vault. Springfield just moved through vault, so they've got a little bit of a boost. Army started on vault, so they've got that boost as well. And so things will continue to shake and even out, right? So for Tribe fans watching at home, since we're about to go to Horse, which is often the lowest scoring event, unless you've got Patrick Hoops on your squad, who's phenomenal, it will very likely be your lowest scoring event, right? And so the Tribe will take a bit of a dip, but looking at Rings, which is a very strong squad, and then Vault, which is not only a higher scoring event, but is a very, very good rotation for the Tribe. That's when we'll shake things back out, and we'll have a better gauge on where the teams really like going into that last event.
I mean, it is an interesting thing in our sport watching when teams perform vault. It really does shake up the rankings a lot. So looking at the scores early on, it's almost moot point. You got to have vault in there.
So you'll see the athletes are taking their one touches on Horse right now. Everyone does it a little differently. When I took my one touch, I typically did a jump into my first skill, which was a scissor handstand, to calibrate how much I needed to jump, how much power I had, how much energy I had. And then I would usually just do a couple circles, try and stretch out those shoulders. I've got a wider frame, which makes it harder for me to get my hands behind me, right? And so you'll see some of the wider athletes will stretch, try and open up that chest, those shoulders before they begin their routine. And so it's just about doing whatever makes you feel comfortable to compete. Sometimes you repeat a tricky skill, make sure you get a bad one out before you do a good one, or do a good one so that you know you can do it that day, and it's even better when you compete it.
And pommel horse can be such a mental challenge. So really getting all those little tweaks in before the routine can help a lot.
Oh my gosh, pommel horse can turn you into such a head case. I mean, and it's just hard to say. It's like beam for women, where like pretty much anything you can do, you could fall off. And so keeping that low heart rate and that head even's real tough. But Ricky is very much capable, and it's why, like we saw in high bar, he is a leadoff man here. This is our start, the B check here. Get the easy skills going so that he can open up that circle, settle into the rhythm of his routine. Now he's doing single palm work, so you'll notice he stepped down early at a bit of a break in form, so he will not receive full flop credit for that skill. But he continued through, refusing to fall, pushing up into the handstand dismount after his travels, and doing what he can to save it. So that was good in that he did not fall. Unfortunately, he had the break on those single pommel elements, that flop skill, right? And so not only will he not receive full credit for it, but he needed that skill for full difficulty value of the Kier Wendy swing element group, right? So that those skills where you're circling on the two handles like that in your spindles are all in the same element group. And if you want the full 5/10 for doing a skill that belongs to that family, then you need to do a skill that is a C or higher, right? And so had Ricky completed the flop, it would have been a D. So he would have gotten a D for the skill and 5/10 for the element group. But as it stands, they will likely only give him a single pommel loop, which is a B, and he'll only get 3/10 for the element group. So instead of getting the full 9 like he intended, he'll end up with around 5/10. And then, of course, incurring the deductions that the judges took from there. So pommel horse is another one of those events, just like high bar, where those deductions, they can stack up so quickly. But Ricky did, to his credit, a very good job of mitigating.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that was most definitely a mistake, and he would have wanted it to go another way, but I think most athletes fall right there. They step off of that single pommel and they go, oh, time to get off.
Oh, absolutely.
So credit to him, keeping his head cool, finishing strong, especially on an event like pommel horse. It's not easy to do.
When I compete at pommel horse, we did some work with a sports psychologist, and she gave us breathing techniques. So you'd see me in the background right now, actively doing breathing techniques to try and manually lower my heart rate, so I wasn't too amped up or jittery to compete or freaking out or whatever else is going on. So we'll see it in the temperament of these guys. Just a tad of anxious fiddling that they are pushing down to get their job done. It's interesting as well how that changes. I guess I didn't really get nervous to compete until I was in college, until I felt like, my team was depending on me to do a good job. And so learning how to deal with that pressure is tough, right? But it's part of working together as a team. And here is Jared, who's got gorgeous line, by the way. Just look at how well his circles flow, how nice it is, how relaxed he swings. Just a gorgeous straight line down from his chest to his toes. Exciting flare work.
I love me some flare work, Christian.
Oh, I know. For those of you who can hear the smile in his voice, Kevin also did some flared scales in his horse set. And pop that right up. Good job, Jared.
Nice. Good stuff.
Excellent. But you'll notice Jared didn't do any of the flop skills like Ricky had attempted. And, that is a very valid strategic choice, right? If that is not in your wheelhouse, then do your A or B skill for your 3/10 to the element group and keep it moving, right? And we saw Jared do these gorgeous traveling elements, right? So he may not have, packed the difficulty in that one specific area of his routine, but he made up for it both in execution and by pushing the difficulty in the areas where he is especially adept.
For William Mary, that's really important. You know, pommel horse has been probably the most difficult event for them, especially looking back on past meets. So staying on, feeling good after pommel horse that's going to be important for him today.
Absolutely. You know, the horse has been fighting back against the tribe this year, and it has been winning on occasion. But the guys have been doing very well recently, so they are not going down without a fight.
You know, thinking back, Christian, I think I should have done some more of those breathing exercises you were talking about. I would step up to the pommel horse, and man, I was always trying to outperform myself, and I should have just been doing it just like practice. But that's why you were on lineup and I wasn't. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I was uniquely suited to just not falling was my like whole thing. So that was probably it more than anything. I'm sure they would have gotten my Ninja Turtle looking butt off the horse as soon as possible if I if I had started falling more. Right.
Try and give the judges some leeway here, folks. Pommel horse is probably the most difficult event to judge. You don't know what skill they're doing until it's complete. So it might take a little bit longer for them to get that accurate result.
And even if you do know what skill they're doing, I mean, it can just be confusing. I know for a lot of you folks at home, you can say the skills look the same. Don't worry, it can happen to us too. All right, working very well on that Roth there for Luke. I mean, exceptionally difficult to do the full turn as you travel across the full length of the horse, and he handles it well. Into the triple Russian dismount with the flank off. Gorgeous.
Nice.
You'll notice that was wicked quick, right? He was on and off that horse. Luke does not have the highest start value on the squad. In fact, it is likely the lowest, but he makes up for it with just great execution, right? So he did his job there. Got up, stayed clean, stayed on, and got off. Good job, Luke. And I believe he's doing all around today, so that'll count towards his all around score.
You know, Luke's got a really nice circle. I bet in the upcoming years we'll see a lot more difficulty out of him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Luke's just got, he's just got gorgeous gymnastics. See, Jared's score is in it at 12-3, notch higher than Ricky's. Yeah.
Looking around the gym a little bit, Navy started off real strong on floor with a 13-8 and a 13-6. So they keep that momentum going after that great high bar.
Navy wants to win today. They would not come to play games. They are defending the field house. And for those of you wondering about day two, as I briefly mentioned earlier, the top 2 athletes, so the top 8 athletes from day 1 on individual apparatus will qualify to event finals tomorrow. And not only is it just top 8, it's a little more specific than that. It's top 8 with a maximum of 2 per school. So there's a good chance that if you are in the top 2 for your team, then you are going to compete in finals tomorrow. Gavin's got a difficult routine here. Doing that flop work, the loop 180 Russian into the next Stockley B into the more back onto the single handle. This guy is swinging. Look at him. Another flop, pushing the Magyar. This is difficult work. Back into the Savado. Just a dismount now. The triple Russian. Spin. 1, 2, 3. Fight for it. And up. There we
Good
go.
stuff. Good stuff.
That was an excellent fight. He got a little squirrely on the triple Russian, but, he kept it on. And one thing that was especially impressive with the dismount is that with those, you'll notice that last skill he did, he got pretty close to upside down, right? That's called that ending motion is called a flank. And you need that flank to be at least 30 degrees above the horse, right? He got well above 30 degrees. And it's very hard to do, and he did it very well. In addition to, of course, all of the very difficult gymnastics that he did on the horse.
And those Russian dismounts can really get folks too. The skill isn't super easy, but usually you're a big strong guy trying to do the Russian and just getting those legs high enough. That's a challenge. So seeing him get it up that high, good stuff.
We're moving decently quick here for a 16 meet. We are exactly halfway through, just under an hour in.
I guess the judges didn't come to play today either. They're getting after it. Good score for Gavin here at 12.85.
Great, yeah.
That'll be a welcome boost.
Absolutely. 4 routines, no falls. Of course, we'd rather all the scores be in the 12, try and push that 12.5 average, or just about to, break 50. But, the benefit of everyone staying on is that no momentum was lost, right? And that is a win that we will take, especially because going into this next event, we are so strong on rings.
For sure. That should definitely be a boost. That's Gavin's highest pommel horse score of the season.
Oh, fantastic.
12.85. So it's a great way to in the tribe into the rings.
All right, so I'm just going to take you through the standings again one more time, just as we rotate halfway through the meet. So, for the teams, Air Force is leading right now with a 160.25. Army is in second with a 157.2. Springfield third with a 155.6. William Mary fourth with 152.8. Simpson fifth with a 148.75. And Navy sixth with a 148 flat. Although they are still missing a score, and that athlete missing, Isaiah Drake, is no slouch. While we did not watch the routine, I would not be surprised if it was very good. Yep, 13-3. That is a strong score.
That's a good floor rotation for Navy there.
And so just to fix that a little bit, Navy is in first with that final score in at a 161.3. So just take a note once again of the athletes the teams who have gotten through vaults. Now Air Force has gotten to vault, as well as Springfield, Army, and Navy, right? So
Navy has not yet gotten to vault.
Pardon me, excuse me.
They got to start on parallel bars, which was my favorite event to start on.
Yeah, P-bars has got to be the best event to start on, right? Other than like straight up Olympic order.
I mean, for me, it's better than Olympic order. I always felt that parallel bars was a strong event. You had a little bit more control, and then to finish on vault, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, finishing on vaults is really where it's at. I was never a vaulter. It's actually the one event I never competed for the team, and so for me, it was like really it was time to chill. Watch the guys go crazy for a minute or two, because vault does not take that long, and then just soak in the high scores and the high energy. So
When having vault last, you got ring second to last, and you can kind of put every bit of your energy into that ring routine.
Absolutely.
You only have vault to follow. Christian, I wanted to gather some of your thoughts here on the dismounts on rings. You brought a dismount back to life single-handedly.
Some might say, I might say that I saw like Brandon Briones do it and was like, dude, I think I could do that. But yeah, so I competed a triple back off rings, which is extraordinarily uncommon. I do not believe you'll see any today. I don't think there's anyone in the ECAC doing one right now. Although I have heard rumors that Jojo Busselmeyer from Army, their all-arounder, that he can do one, and he has been training one instead. So if we will see one, it'll be from him. But most often, you will see either a tuck half-half or a tuck double-double. Tuck double-double being, the best bang for your buck, in that you get full value for the element group at a 5/10 for both the skill and the group itself. So I'm excited because the tribe has a whole bunch of those. We have historically not been especially strong on dismounts, but we will see 2 today, although I think we have like 3 or 4 athletes who compete them. So you'll notice that Mark Fu is up first, followed by John Irwin, Nico Greenlee, anchor Evan Wilkins. I call Evan the anchor, although he is not the last athlete, because Luke Tully, while he will be competing for his all-around score, the score he receives will not count towards the team, right? And so to be an all-arounder, you don't need to be on every lineup, but you do need to compete every event. So this is a way for teams to get their all-arounders all-around scores without having to, sacrifice, everyone's got weak events. So without being able to optimize the team score in the area, I'd rather say. Starting with Mark's gorgeous Caesarean cross. I mean, phenomenal. I've seen what he's worked on. He comes in so bad.
It's got to be one of the best skills on the rings. A nice Caesarean cross.
Absolutely. And so he comes for the back upright. His cross out of those swing elements was exceptionally difficult because it's very easy for your shoulders to lift too high and incur deduction. If anything, I would actually say that he lowered too low, which is not a direction you see most people go in. But, they scale the same way low as they do high, right? So he'll get about a 10th low and, keep moving from there. But this is good so far. He's just looking at the dismount here. Tuck half-half. Can he find the stick? And yes, he can. There we go. That's how you start a rotation, man. Good job, Mark. So I'm especially fond of this next routine from senior Jonathan Irwin. Although this John is a senior, we'll get to see him for 2 more years as he does grad school at William & Mary, thankfully. But he is so strong. I mean, this guy is unreal. And I am especially proud because I was John's senior. I was fortunate enough to compete with him when he was a freshman and I was a senior, and then I got a bonus year as I did my 5th year. And so I got to watch him learn and train a lot of the skills in this ring set. And he has come so far and has just now broken into the lineup as a senior, despite the fact that it's harder than ever to make this lineup. I mean, Nico is a national finalist on this event. Evan Wilkins has been leading the tribe and the conference all season. Gavin Zabrowski and Mark Fu are also no slouches. And he has fought his way into this lineup, and with good reason. you'll hear in a moment here as they chant how strong, and it is because Jonathan Irwin is too strong.
I like that you say that.
Strength skills.
This rings lineup is very strong. I remember back when I was competing, you know, I was pushing for the rings lineup, which probably shouldn't have happened if you knew me. I had about 9 cross, and that was it. So.
Uprise Malt. Oh, that is, look at how flat that Maltese is. And a solid hold, too. I mean, that was beautiful. He's worked so hard on that, and the work is paying off. Perfectly flat cross. I mean, that's exceptional.
And like no swing on the rings on that back uprise cross. You don't see that.
No, he's put the effort into the details on his set, and you can tell. A little bit of a hitch on the front giant, but he gets it to the handstand. Uprise, lower cross. Doing that 5th skill, and then a unique back lever out of the cross. All right? So he gets a B for that, although typically, I don't even know if that skill is valued, but it's a bit fun. Pump, dislocate, tuck half dis smack. Can you find it?
Oh.
And just a small adjustment backwards. Good job, John. This is actually John's 2nd ever routine on rings for the tribe this season. And it might be ever for lineup, actually, as well. So, lots of good work has gone into that routine, but you can see why it's in lineup. He is so strong. And he's just still working to make those details, you know, perfect. Undeniably excellent.
Those first 2 elements, man, they were right on. Right out of the textbook. We got to get some graphics. You put a nice square from the actual code of points of those elements. They would
just
not be
side
far
by
off.
side.
Yeah.
Oh no, not at all. And so as you're watching these athletes do these strength skills, one thing to keep an eye on is how they enter them and how they hold them, right? They got to hold them for 2 seconds. That's the easy part. But looking at how they enter the skills is more difficult, right? You're looking at for when they freeze. When they freeze, did they freeze above perfectly flat? Did they freeze below perfectly flat, or just right? And sometimes you can swing up too high and then lower. And if they have to adjust to that final position, that's a deduction as well, right? I say it all the time, but if you want to do these strength elements on rings, you have to work harder than the judges who are working hard to take them from you. You know, they have to be undeniably excellent. And that is the only way they can count, because if you uprise too high, you hold short, and the position isn't pretty, it's all gone. You did all that work, and the judges took 3 strokes of their pen, and you're tired and didn't even get the value of the skill, right? And so these guys have been working really hard to make sure that doesn't happen to them. And Mark's score is a testament to that. At a 13.15 on rings, that's pretty strong.
Really nice. Well, there's one piece there I might have to disagree with you with there, Christian. Holding the element being the easy part. I couldn't hold any elements. All right, that was hard.
Just do a little hold your breath kind of action, and you're right in there. Just hold your breath and push down. That's all it takes.
That's right.
Yeah. So another fun fact for you guys. All of my teammates hate training rings with me because the correction I tend to give is push down when they're working on a strength element. Does not seem especially helpful, but it's all I got. So, all right. And moving into Nico. Starting with the upright straight. Upright straddle planche, which he did very well. And as I said, he did not go too high, he did not go too low. He uprised perfectly flat and held it there.
It's funny he accidentally called it straight. It was really good. It could have been a straight.
Oh, those swinging elements were pretty. A little shy of the handstand on the uprise to handstand though, which he manages to fix.
Yeah.
Pushing tall on that back giant. Big double coming here. He can stick these. Just a small adjustment backwards, but that is a strong set for Nico.
That's one of the things that I liked about double is that it looked like he did there. As you come into that second flip, you can start opening out of the tuck. And there's just this really unique part of the element where you can start seeing the ground really early, and you start in that air sense of where the ground is. It's really nice.
Nico I mean, he has such a good double-double. Even when he does a bad back giant or he has a bad handstand, he can pull a double-double out of anything. I've seen him double-double to a landing from what is darn close to an invert. So he is exceptional with working that skill. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry, I'm checking the ring scores right now. I am looking to see what the Tribe guys will have to put up if they want to break into the lead on rings. And it looks like Brian Rollison from Simpson did a crazy good job with the leading score, a 13.95. Scoring a 14 in this code is darn near impossible. So that is very, very impressive. Yeah, Nico scores in at a 13.05. Yeah. He's pushing that cleanliness. And this is another athlete. Evan can do the strength, he can do the swing, and he's got the double-double, right? So he can capitalize. I do not believe he starts high enough to push Brian Rollison, but he can absolutely push for podium. There you go. You can see he wound up and then killed almost all the swing to just bounce into that cross position, right? And that's just a specialized technique athletes will use to make sure they don't come in too high on their uprise cross. Going to his second cross here. You see his hands open? That's to show the judges that he's not using any false grip, that he is strong enough to do those skills without cheating and using his forearm on the rings. Gorgeous swing through here. Up to the handstand. A little shy of the handstand. It seems like the front giants are getting away from us today. Got to tighten that back. He's loosened the back. There we go. Just a little off. I know he's having some shoulder trouble this week, so I don't know how much he's been able to train rings this week. And nonetheless, he puts it down.
A little bit wild, but we got the job done.
Yeah, I actually am just now remembering that. Yeah, when we spoke on Monday, he told me he was not going to be able to compete rings this week. So he was having some shoulder issues that seemed to have at least partially resolved themselves, at least enough for him to be able to compete. But, you know, a hit's a hit. He won't be happy with that because I know what a high standard he holds himself to. But nonetheless, he was able to persevere for the team, and he did a good job. Yeah, you can see who I'm sure is Connor Barrow back there massaging his shoulder. Oh, that's not Connor Barrow. That's Evan Secret. My bad.
You know, I feel a bit for the all-arounders in that last slot on rings. After having done it myself a little bit, it's a little bit tough when rings isn't your strongest and you got to follow up the best rings guy on your team.
I have not thought about that, but I can't imagine that does not feel incredible. All right, but Evan Wilkins is in, even with a hurting shoulder and a bit of a rougher set around the edges. He still pulls out a 13, so good job, Tribe. And so kind of like we saw on Pommel Horse, Luke is not going to do the most difficult set you'll ever see, but he will do it just about cleaner than anyone could possibly think. So one tiny thing they look at is they look at for forearms on the straps there. So if his forearms are making too much contact with the straps, the judges can actually take 3/10. And the stick. There we go. Capitalizing. Low difficulty, high execution, Luke. That's how you move through all around.
Oh, Christian, that's an interesting deduction that you pull up. There is no like small deduction for arms on the straps there. It is just 3/10. If it's a lot or a little, you're getting that same deduction.
And I really wish you folks at home had a set of rings, because sometimes it feels physiologically impossible to not have your forearms on the straps while you're doing rings. To the point where like I've literally had conversations with athletes who are like, dude, it's like not even possible to do, a press handstand on rings without your arms on the straps. And, able to like demonstrate and talk them through how it's possible. It just requires a level of strength that is, truly unique to rings. It's just a group of muscles that you don't typically engage in that specific fashion, because you also have to turn your wrist out, right? You're getting your palms facing towards the crowd instead of towards your body. So it's just uniquely difficult, and that's one thing that really sets some of the top ring guys apart. They're not incurring that deduction because they're strong enough to turn out. Right, so that rotation is wrapped up. We'll take you through the scores one more time. So if all the scores are in right, Navy is out in front, widening that lead with a 213.65. Army in second with a 210.95. Air Force third, 210.9. Springfield fourth with a 205.15. William & Mary just behind with a 204.7. And Simpson rounding it out for us again with a 201.9. With 2 events left, this is still anyone's meet. Both Navy and the Tribes, and Simpson, right? Simpson just vaulted. All right, so Navy and the Tribes still need to vault, and that'll really shake things up as the scores even out a little bit. But no, and just to look at individual events just a little bit as I'm looking through here, Evan Wilkins is actually still in first on 4 for the not only for the Tribe, but for the meet so far. So he is just about certainly going to be in finals should he choose to compete tomorrow. Patrick Hoops is, of course, number one on horse by almost 2 points with a 15.15. To say he is world class would be an understatement. Brian Rolliston still strong in first place with a 13.95. Vault is Eric Upton from Air Force with a 14.1. Parallel bars, Connor Heary with a 13.75. And high bar, Boone Washburn with that 13.7.
And those top 2 execution scores on high bar, 9.2 and 9.25. Those must have been some sharp routines.
Absolutely. It is so hard to break a 9.0 E score on high bar, man. All right, so just to talk about finals for just a little bit more, I was fortunate enough to compete in USAG Gymnastics Collegiate Nationals finals a couple times, earning myself, I believe, 5 Collegiate All-America honors. And so the athletes will compete today, and once again, as I said, top 8, 2 from but a maximum of 2 from each team, and then they'll have the opportunity to compete tomorrow. So things may shift as, for example, had Evan Wilkins, if he makes rings final and his shoulder's bugging him, he could drop out, right? And whoever is the next up athlete, following the rules as before, will be able to take that slot, right? And so today is just the all-around final and the team final competition. But the scores tomorrow can still count for the athlete individually in their qualification and their national ranking. And they can also, of course, compete for Collegiate All-America honors and some hardware. And here's one event where the Tribe can not only put some people in the finals, but we've got several athletes who could very well win tomorrow, and I would not be the least bit surprised.
Yeah, this should be a strong event for the Tribe.
Oh, absolutely. With we got Ricky starting us off, right? With a very strong cause double. Or 2.5, depending on the day, depending on how he's feeling. And then Connor Barrow, same kind of deal. Double full or 2.5, but from a Yurchenko. Sam Lee, always a 2.5. And Luke Tolley, very clean Yurchenko double full. We got lots of strong vaults, good difficulty, and very nice execution as well. Ricky stuck this last meet, actually. Hey. And landing. So that's a double full. I always refer to vaults as the number of twists that you actually physically complete. So while technically it was a cause full, I'm going to say a double full just because he did 2 twists. And so he landed a bit short, right? And so the judges will take the step, but you'll notice that right foot actually also stepped across that furthest white line. And so for that, he will incur 1/10 deduction, right, Kevin?
Correct. And then if both feet go out, that's 3.
Well, the table's a different texture. It looks like it, instead of being the standard basketball top, as we colloquially call it, AAI table, this is closer to what the pommel horse looks like it's made out of. Right? And while the bounciness won't be affected, of course, anyone else catch that guy just stick a triple out of the corner of the screen?
That was good. It was a great shot of it. He came out of nowhere.
That was really cool. Good for him. I lost my train of thought for a second there. I mean, it doesn't affect the bounciness. It just affects, friction, traction, how your hands stick to the table once you've made contact. So, and Ricky scores in at a 13.2. Next up is Connor Barrow, who is actually, in his freshman season, tied for the best vaulter in Tribe Gym history, putting up a massive 14.5, which when adjusted is tied for the highest score in all of William & Mary Men's Gymnastics history since the Open Code.
Nice clean double full.
Just the double full today, but it was gorgeous. So Kevin, you vaulted a bit for the Tribe. What goes through your head when you're at the end of that runway, and kind of, take us through it step by step what vaulting is like for the team?
Oh my. I would say the worst part is just standing down there at the end of the runway. You're in your shorts and you're just freezing usually. You're like super cold. You're trying to stay warm and waiting for the judges to give you the go-ahead. For me, I was always focused on really picking up the speed about halfway down the runway, making sure I get the most out of that springboard. And then to be completely honest, once I hit the table, all thoughts were out the window. It was just in the zone. And then, your brain kind of turns back on when it's time to land.
That makes sense. Just working on instinct in the air there. I mean, there's not enough time to get full thoughts across, but
yeah.
Now it is time for Sam Lee, who's also in the vault record books with his razor sharp 2.5. Oh my goodness gracious, Sam Lee! Woo!
That was a good vault right there.
That was phenomenal. So you'll notice he did an extra half twist, right? He gets an additional 4/10 in value for that. And he's going to make it worth his while because he took a 1/10 hop in place. That's almost certainly going to be the highest score for the Tribe squad thus far. And it's also eerily reminiscent of the of the vault he did where he actually broke in higher in the record books, because he was in the record books and then he punched up to second. And he did so at Navy on this vault table by doing just about the same exact vault. So, good job, Sam.
That was a great vault. Had me reminiscing of that Paul Judah 2.5 that went viral not too long ago for basically being perfect.
Yeah, dude. The judges are just afraid to throw Paul Judah a 10-0 E-score on that vault, man. If he sticks, he has no pre-flight or flight deductions. What are we talking about? Cowards, all right? All right, yeah, and Sam Lee scores in at a big old 14.0. That's real good. All right, ending with Luke Tolley. He also stuck last meet. Let's see if he can get it again. Doing that Yurchenko-style entry. 2 twists.
Good stuff.
All right. And probably a 3/10 step backwards because they're really picky about what they differentiate between a 1 and a 3. You only get up to shoulder width before they start taking a 3. But his chest was right up and down, right? Showed lots of preparation for landing, very clean off the table and in the air. So that score actually could like still be competitive with Sam Lee. I'd be surprised if he overtook Sam, but I do think it'll be close.
Christian, I'm starting to agree with you with these vault scores. Personally, I'm not sure where I could find 8/10 on the Sam Lee vault.
I agree. 8/10 for a 2.5 with a 1-step. Okay. It's a choice. I guess there's a reason I'm here and they're there. But
For sure. Well, we're also not in person. There's certain deductions that are hard to see, but sometimes you watch these routines and you go, Where?
Yeah. All right, Luke Tolia, the 13.65. Okay. Interesting. I would have thought it was at least equal to Connor Barrows. I thought it was pretty good. They're both exceptionally clean in the air. Luke's step was a little bigger. But I guess that is what they found, though, that Luke was a little cleaner but took a bigger step, and that's how he ended up only 1/10 behind. But all right, so that for anyone keeping track, that Ty Gopal, who stuck the triple back in the background, his high bar score is ended at 13.6. So it appears the whole routine before that was also pretty good. All right, so
Every time I see it,
oh, you got it.
Every time I see a triple back off the high bar, I always think of Justin Spring back in the 2008 Olympics. Gotta watch that one.
That's iconic. Yeah, so vault ended up first because, of course, it's just the one skill goes pretty quick. So we'll just sit here and chat while we wait for the scores to roll in.
So, Christian, who's next on the Podnastics podcast?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. I believe we're going to have Kia Johns. Nope, we just had Kia John. Jocelyn. That's her name. I need to remember her last name. We also spoke to Fuzzy recently, Fuzzy Benes from Oklahoma. So we're going to have him on in a couple of weeks.
Very nice.
Yeah. Jocelyn Moore is who we're going to have next, I believe. And so we'll record with her on Sunday. An episode will be out Thursday. We just had our most recent episode published with Luke James from Nebraska, originally a South African gymnast, published on Thursday. So for those of you listening, if you like men's gymnastics content and you'd like to hear a little bit more about the athletes and what it's like competing in the NCAA and how they got there, feel free to give us a listen. Podnastics streaming everywhere.
It's a good follow, folks. You should do it.
Thank you for the plug. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know me. I'm waiting for those Thursdays. Waiting for the pod to drop.
Man, I super wish I could have watched Brian Rolston's rings routine because 13.95 is actually his highest score of the season.
Wow.
Yeah,
there are a couple of scores that are popping out across the scoreboard here. I'm not surprised by Patrick Hoops, but that must have been quite the routine. 15.15.
I'm sure we'll see the highlight.
Yeah, I want to see that Boone Washburn high bar routine. I'd want to watch Evan Wilkins on floor again, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the way he does his his full twist and double lay. He just looks so comfortable. He kind of builds a pocket into his chest that tight hollow as he spins through the air, just very calm half. I'm a big fan.
He does it so calm. It looks like he's doing it off the high bar.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
All right, we're going to take a look at the standings, if we can get all of our scores in, see how things are shaking out. All right, I think everyone's gotten all their scores now. So in first, by only 9/10 now, Navy with a 265.7, and Army right behind them with a 264.6. Air Force in third right now with a 261.8. William & Mary fourth with a 259.3. Springfield fifth with a 257.5. And Simpson rounding it out with a 251 flat. So to take you through the first three event winners, and then Kevin can do the last three. Evan Wilkins is still first on 4, followed by Joseph Wisselmeyer from Army, and in third place is Will Champagne of Navy. In first place on horse, Patrick Hoops, of course, with 15.15, but Maddox Pabellin from Army pushing him, 14.25, doing his best. It's just a testament to how, they've got almost the same execution. It really just came down to difficulty. Patrick's Hoops starts at a 15.9, and Maddox at a 15.1, so that gap is literally almost entirely difficulty. And then third is Jake from Army. And for rings, Brian Rollison far out in front with that 13.95. Blade Rousseau from Springfield at 13.65. And Eric Upton third with a 13.4. Kevin.
And then on vault, Eric Upton is leading the way with a 14.1. Sam Lee right behind him at the 14 flat. And Nick Lester from Army with a 13.9. So that is a 2/10 separation between the top three. On parallel bars, Connor Heary from Army still holding it down with 13.75. William Champagne from Navy with 13.5. And Matthew Petros from Navy with a 13.45. And then high bar, Mr. Boone Washburn still holding it down with that 13.7. Ty Gopal from Air Force is at a 13.6 right behind him. And Matthew Petros from Navy with a 13.55.
And just as a quick note, Connor Heary on Army is the leader on parallel bars thus far, but he also has a rings routine some people are especially fond of. If you are a big fan of low difficulty, high execution, he's probably going to put up a 9.5 E score today, so I make sure to check that out.
Real sharp stuff. Looking at that Patrick Hoops score on pommel horse, it's very reminiscent to me of the Steven Nederazic on that Olympic team. Just having such a high score, you can't leave him out.
Yeah, and that is the caliber that Patrick Hoops is in. It was between them, like coming down to tenths, if even plural, for that Olympic spot. That is how good Patrick is, Olympic caliber. And as we saw. Now, there are meets where he has beaten Steven, and Steven medaled at the Olympics. So Patrick Hoops is a Olympic caliber athlete, just gorgeous horse swinger.
The U.S. in general seems to be turning the corner on pommel horse. I remember growing up, pommel horse was like the nemesis of USA Gymnastics, and nowadays we got a bunch of great athletes that can really swing.
Yeah, it's one of my hottest takes. I think the U.S. has some of, if not the best, horse specialist in the entire world. Which sounds crazy, but we had 2 different athletes medal out, at Worlds and the Olympics, and I do not believe any other country had accomplished such a feat. And so between Coy and Steven and Brennan Dang and Parker Thaxton and of course Patty Hoops and anyone else, Ignacio Yakers, pardon me. Anyone else I'm forgetting off the top of my head here?
Brandon Dang just pulled in some hardware, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Brandon Dang and Patty, they went to the same World Cup about a week or 2 ago, and they both medaled. They went like 1-2. I do not remember the order, but yeah, exceptional.
Oh, I'm excited for that Luke Tully-Healy on P-Bars.
He
I don't
is
know if I've
so
ever
good
seen
at
anyone
posting on that one
finishing
arm.
that high.
No, seriously.
Let's go, P-Bars, come on!
Got a nice strong start here from Zach.
Zachary, who was actually the first William & Mary Winter Cup qualifier in like 10 years. So so at West Point Open, he placed second, petitioned to a Winter Cup, and competed where he represented the tribe very well. He's been a staple of this lineup all season, one of the highest scorers, and he's about ready to show us why. He's got difficulty, he's got execution, and a patented wink to just drive some personality into 13 as well.
Let's go, Zach!
All right, he starts off with a very simple jump to L. Swinging through the bottom here, Giants. Big Tapel. And he sits down. So unfortunately, that will be a full point fall. Peters, that's very difficult, swinging up to the one rail sideways like that, but he handles it well. Next is the Stutz.
Let's go, Zach! Come on!
He's moving here like it never happens.
Let's go, Zach! Come on!
All right, he dispensed with a double pike. He sticks these. Can he find it today?
Yes, Zach!
Yes, he can.
Way to pick it back up.
Yeah. He finished that well despite the setback on the Tapel. I know how, the standard of excellence he holds himself to, and he will not at all be happy with that. But in spite of the error, he did a very good job coming back from it. And I'm also just going to put it on the record right now. I'm in my last semester of law school, so I am at William & Mary, so I'm still able to get in the gym with the guys, talk to them, train with them, coach them. And I will be picking at him about his landing position on that double pike. He and I go back and forth on him landing with those straight legs all the time. It drives me crazy.
Compared to routines I've seen him do in the past, he felt a little rushed to me, which is odd.
Who knows? It's interesting competing in the field house. I mean, yeah, so Navy is in a temporary facility right now, and this temporary facility is a lot colder than their previous one. Excuse me. So it can stay pretty difficult to stay warm while you compete. And so if you're like Zachary and this is the first and only event you're competing today, you warmed up like 2 hours ago, and then you waited for the meet to happen. You waited, you waited an hour and a half for the meet to get this far, and you get 1 2-minute touch, and now it's time to compete, and that's very difficult. So. So you'll see a score is in an 11-9 from a 13-9 start. Typically, that is 4/10 higher. Typically, that is about 3 to 4 times higher because he receives credit for that Tapel. But since he sat down, he did not receive the full value. But now it is time for Nico, who worked that peach handstand very well from the springboard.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of athletes struggle from the springboard, and Nico did not.
Very nice, Healy. Oh, those hand placements will be a 10th each. You can't walk on the bars like that.
Let's go, Nico! Make it pretty, Green, come on! Let's
All
go.
right, so he's going to do double front dismount. What you're going to want to look at is he going to lean his shoulders over his hand as he leans forward for the double front that he did, and that's why he was able to keep it on his feet. Good job, Nico. Lots of amplitude, kept his knees nice and tight together in the air. That's very nice. The set itself had some bobbles here and there, but for the most part, it was pretty tight. He will be, of course, rewarded because a hit is a hit, and the Tribe will keep it rolling. He did a good job picking back up after Zachary had the slight error. Had the error at the beginning of his routine.
Yeah, definitely a routine that gets the team back in the right mindset. We definitely had some P-bar milking. I don't know if you've ever heard it described that way, but the regrasps, I always refer to it as milking the P-bars, but sometimes those are needed to make sure you feel comfortable doing the big difficulty elements. You got it done.
Yeah, it's interesting how in your head you can get about it, because really at the end of the day, unless your hands are uneven, you're really just shifting the way the pressure, of your body and your hands feels. So those little differences can, make or break a skill. So next we got Evan Wilkins, who's also been great on this event. I mean, I can't say enough praise for Evan Wilkins. This man has won the most event titles of any athlete on the team this season. He's won an event title on every event he's competed, and he just is unstoppable. He keeps working, he keeps pushing, and that's why we keep seeing him on these lineups and why he keeps doing well. So, huge handstand to start. A little bit of arm bend on the way up to that handstand, but he's working with it. He's also one who tends to swing pretty fast. But Dion was pretty controlled, though. Oh, and so is that
Nice
Stutz. He's dialing in. Can you find the double pike? I know he wants to stick. Oh my goodness! I don't know if I've ever seen a more perfect stick in my life.
That was incredible.
I wish there was a face cam. I'm stunned, dude. That was amazing.
Yeah, Stutz in that routine. I mean, it popped up and jabbed into the bars. It was like a spear landing in the ground. And he caught that Stutz in handstand.
Yeah, I mean, the most clear deduction in the set was, the arm bend on his way up to handstand and the peach hand. Other than that, I mean, I feel like we're going to be looking at 9-0 plus E-score here, hopefully. That was great. He made the judges' jobs real easy right there. Not a lot of math to do. And we have Nico scores in at a 13.1 from a 14.3. So, very good job on his set. And, helps to build back up for the mishap that happened in Zachary's. That's how you work together as a team. And Evan Wilkins just built right on that momentum, pushing it forward.
Let's go, Mark. Come on, baby. Lock in.
Mark's got an especially difficult parallel bars routine. He does a lot of support work. He's a real savant with those skills. He's going to do a Makutz, he's going to do a Healy, a Diomadov, and a Stutz. So he'll do them all in a row. So it'll be a true treat if he executes this just as well as we know he can.
Let's go, Mark.
Starting with that first skill. He does that to satisfy his underbar element group since he does most of his skills on the rails. And that Makutz that he swings straight through, no pause on the one rail, which is a deduction, but not for Mark because he doesn't take it. Dion swinging right through this. I mean, woof. Keeping up with the pace of that, the strength, the shoulder control, very impressive. Although Mark is one to milk the bars. Can he get the dismount? Oh, woo.
Save on the dismount.
Yeah, managed to keep that on his feet somehow. That's why we lift, dude. That's a strong leg to plant off of. Catch your whole body weight like that while you're still moving with all the force from the ground. Other than that, though, the set was very nice.
Yeah, that upper bar work felt like watching a boxing match. Just jab, jab, hook. He was just punching through it.
Listen, what's even crazier is I know he can actually do it cleaner than that. Little leg form here and there, little hand shifts. I've seen him, somehow perform that even better than he did today. So, but it's impressive to be able to work through something that difficult with such a small margin of error and still have a big margin of success.
It looks like you were right about that 9+ E-score from Evan Wilkins.
Yeah, 13.6 from a 14.2. It's a 9.4. Yeah, I guess it'll be what 9.3 technically because he got stick. 9.3 he scored. Goodness gracious. Yeah, he was doing all he could to catch Connor here. He was manages to stay on top by a 10.5, but wow, if Evan didn't push.
I'm excited for this Healy, Christian.
Exactly, as you should be. All right, and so this is Luke. Once again for the all-around spot. So it won't count for the team, but it will be his final score for the day for his all-around competition. If he places top 6, he'll receive that USA Gymnastics Collegiate All-American Honors. Woof!
Oh!
Let's go, Luke.
The commentator's curse, Kevin, you jinxed him.
I know.
So
I mean, the Healy itself was gorgeous.
So he caught the Healy, but he had to hike on his way up. And if the error was decided to be big enough, the judges actually might take credit for it. And then he took the extra swing before his Diamondov, right? And he'll receive an extra full swing as what, 5/10?
That sounds correct.
And then short on the double pike. So that routine was a bit of a scramble for Luke. Unfortunately, that happens. You got to fight through. And he did what he could. But fortunately for the tribe, it wasn't one of the counting scores. And he's done well enough today that he still might be in the top 6 for Collegiate All-America Honors. All right, and it looks like we have all of the final scores. If I'm mistaken, I'll correct myself, and I apologize. But it looks like in first place, who got in front and stayed in front, Navy Gymnastics with a 320.7, which has to be their highest score this year. 320 is massive. Followed by Army, with what I also suspect is their highest score this season, a 315.05. Air Force rounding out for the podium with bronze, 13.305. Tribe hitting a 310.1 for 4th place. 5th place, Springfield with a 308.45. And in 6th place, Simpson with a 288 flat. All right, if all of the all-arounder scores are in, I believe in first place will be the Isaiah Drake of the Naval Academy with a 79.55. Second will be Eric Upton from Air Force with a 78.55. And in third is Brian Solomon of Navy with a 77.8. And for those of you wondering about Mr. Tully, Luke, the freshman, will receive Collegiate All-America Honors in the all-around with a 74.7 for 4th place. Congratulations. And like last time, Kev, I'll take us through the first 3 events. I'll do bronze, silver, or gold, silver, bronze. And if I can, off the top of my head, call out any individual qualifiers that I see for the first 3 events. So Evan Wilkins in first on floor with a 13.9. Second place was Army. Army's Joseph Busselmeyer with a 13.85, and William Champagne of Navy with a 13.8. So that's, 1/10 separating the top 3 guys. It's going to be an exciting final. Moving to Pommel Horse, Patrick Hoops takes it, of course, with a 15.15. Maddox of Army with a 14.25, and Noah Duran of Army with a 13.55. Moving to rings, Brian Rollison, Simpson with a 13.95. He could not be caught. And second, Blaze from Springfield at 13.65. And in bronze, Eric Upton of Air Force with a 13.4. Although if you see Mark down there, Mark Fu, it's looking like he will likely compete in USAG Collegiate All-American Finals tomorrow for the All-America Honors. All right, Kevin.
And on vault, we got a tie for the first place position with Eric Upton and Isaiah Drake both going 14-1. Just behind them, Sam Lee from William & Mary, the 14. And then some of our guys are right there at the bottom. Connor Barrow tied for 7th and Luke Tully right behind him. On parallel bars, we got Connor Heary holding it down with a 13.75. Evan Wilkins right behind him with that 13.6. We got to see that routine. And William Champagne in the bronze with 13.5. And Nico Greenlee down there just outside of the top 6 with 13.1. And the high bar, Boone did end up with the highest high bar score on day 1 here with that 13.7. Igo Paul with that 13.6 in second. Matthew Petros in the bronze position, 13.55. And Luke Tully got the 6th place spot with a 13.3.
Yeah, and so as it wraps up, Isaiah Drake in first, Eric Upton, and Brian Solomon. Isaiah and Eric, I mean, just 2 juggernauts for their teams, especially Brian Solomon is, of course, no slouch, ending up in bronze as well. I mean, it is tough to do all around this late in the season. I mean, when you are a junior, you typically compete, 6, maybe 7 times a season. In college, you compete I think you probably have like 8 or 9 regular season meets, and then you have championship season. Your gymnastics is the hardest it's ever been. Your practices are harder than they've ever been, and so it can just be a lot on your body. So it's a real testament to the dedication and the skill and talent of these athletes to compete all around so well so late in the season. And I mean, this is when it counts as well, right? They're going to be rewarded for that effort. All right, well, thank you so much for listening today. It has been my pleasure to commentate with you for William & Mary at the USAG Collegiate Nationals, Day 1. My name has been Christian Marsh.
I'm Kevin Portofee.
Thank you. Good night.